finally broke. Harry rushed to find a way out while Meghan struggled in the flop mess. Hello, and a very warm welcome back to LVT News YouTube channel. Well, friends, I am so happy to tell you that my sources were 100% right. Harry and Meghan actually have separated. And it's happening in the middle of the summer. According to Reader Online, Harry and Meghan have separated. Their reporting. Nasty fights, humiliation and failure led the prince to pursue peace. The source is saying that they are taking some time apart, hoping to rebuild their bond after their marital woes were fueled by some family drama. Apparently, after all the public backlash after the failed business deals and the public fights with their loved ones, Meghan and Harry have been completely worn down, according to palace insiders. According to the insider, they are trying to figure out what hit them. Harry doesn't fit in Meghan's tacky Tinseltown world. And they also said that he needs to find himself. It certainly has been a rough few months for the renegade royals. They had to deal with a bad fallout from the negative press as they were trying to re-establish their lives in California after they stepped down from their positions as senior working royals and also started a war with Harry's family. Meghan and Harry shared some never-before-spilled details about their family drama in his explosive memoir Spare. And then there was that top 10 Netflix docuseries before they finally reached a ceasefire. After their $20 million deal of Spotify collapsed, they were called grifters by a Spotify executive. And not only that, but Mexican was also criticized as not being a great audio talent or necessarily any kind of talent by an industry executive who spoke out after the busted deal looking to the future. Harry apparently is planning a trip to Africa to film a documentary for which Meghan will not be present. The source said that the anticipated solo trip may be just what Harry needs. After all, he does consider Africa to be his second home in a place where he feels most like himself. The hits keep coming for the Sussex is added. The tipster who also said the Spotify failure was a game changer. The source reports the Sussex is under tremendous financial pressure to fund their lavish California lifestyle, including their $14 million mansion and huge security costs. That stress, coupled with their emotional issues, has likely made life a living hell. Taking time apart on different continents will hopefully help them find whatever they need to move. I think now is going to be a great time for the royal family to show their fortitude, especially Charles. I would suspect that once Harry feels the burden of being Meghan's bitch has lifted, and once he comes to appreciate how unhappy his last few years have been, I suspect he's going to be trying to reach out to the palace and find some way to weasel his way back. I really hope, though, that the royal staff, the royal family and the general public don't forget how horrible he was to the late Queen. How he ruined the end of her life just like he did with his grandfather, Prince Philip. Both of them passed away with the specter of racism hanging over their heads. I mean, how awful. And after everything the Queen had done for 96 years, she had to pass away like that. She didn't deserve it. Charles needs to remember that was his own mother and father. He also went after his brother and even Catherine, neither of them ever abandoned him. He fabricated some really hateful lies about them. He allowed Meghan to make up lies about them too, especially Catherine. He insulted Charles, his wife Camilla, too, who was now the Queen. But I think it's safe to assume that the royal staff is never going to forget. And I'm sure the royal family cannot forget what he did. And I don't think any of them are going to be willing to forgive. Now the possible weak link could be Charles. What he does if Harry comes back to him is going to be judged forever. And he needs to remember that the judgment is going to be a lot harsher if he decides to welcome Harry back. Because if he does that, he's going to prove that he's disloyal to Charles. Needs to forget this. Oh, he's my son and I love him. Nonsense. Maybe instead he can try showing Harry some tough love, because I think that is exactly what Harry needs. If he doesn't, then one day I'm afraid that he's going to look around and there's not going to be anybody there, including his own family, really supporting him. Now, Camilla, I think, despises Harry. William despises Harry, and Catherine, I think, despises Harry too, because the truth is he deserves that. They're only human. They have been insulted. They have been slapped in the face and stabbed in the back. It's important that we note the situation. Harry has been a dark stain on every single royal occasion, and they all involved public participation. None of that was a private thing. Really important events that only happened once. And it's funny to me that Meghan now is trying to act like Mrs. Onassis and the farmers market photos that were recently came out. Who does she think she is fooling? If they end up breaking up, I don't think Harry is going to go back to her. I think he's going to look for somewhere safe to be. I don't think Charles really understands the damage that he's going to do to his own reputation if he just gives in to Harry. We already know that he doesn't have a mobile phone and he doesn't look at the internet. But I'm sure that his advisors do. There are a lot of people right now who are very critical of Charles because he does seem to dither a lot. And it seems like either he doesn't understand public opinion or maybe he doesn't. And I hope the monarchy can stay forever. But this nonsense has gone on for way too long. If Harry's allowed to just waltz back in like nothing ever happened, then I'll come to understand. My opinion truly doesn't matter. And I'm just going to stop caring. And I think there are a few people who think like I do. If they do allow him to come back, then I hope they force him to go into rehab and get some kind of good therapy to get rid of Meghan's influence on him. When you think about it, it's no wonder that Harry turned out like this. I mean, his family sheltered him from the consequences of his behavior his entire life. When it comes to Harry, it is always somebody else's fault. There's always somebody else to blame when pointing the finger of blame at somebody. It's important to always remember there are three fingers pointing right back at you. I do think that if the royal family had not sheltered him from the consequences of his actions, then he wouldn't have turned out like this.